Okay, guys, this is going to be my review of Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, or Chapter 9, because it's kind of one big overarching story. I liked it. I think it was kind of cool seeing that guy from the extended universe, Cobb Ranth. That was kind of cool. But, kind of, obviously Boba Fett at the end, going back to Tatooine. What I think of the episode? It's fun, it's enjoyable, but I think a lot of people overlook that this is very in a good way, but also in a bad way. So it's pretty good, but sort of bad. Where it's very familiar in the sense that it's kind of redoing some of the same, not tropes, but same story arc, not story arcs, story archetype of wants something. Mandalorian wants something, but in order to get it, he has to do something for the person he was getting it from. So, obviously in this episode, he wants the Mandalorian armor because that means so much to him, and so he has to kill the dragon. But it's very similar archetype of someone wants something, so you got to do something for the person to get what you want. To episode 2, where Mandalorian wants his ship fixed, right? Or no, his parts for a ship. Jawas took the parts from his ship, so he needs to get the egg to get his parts back. Very similar. To get the egg, he has to destroy the beast. To get to has to destroy the beast. So it's very, very similar in that way, with a twist of episode 4 of season 1, where he helps villagers. So it's very similar to a combination of episode 2 to episode 4, but then it just becomes repetitive in that sense, where Mandalorian wants something, he does the little thing and gets it, and I think they don't spice it up enough. I feel like, because on the episode, on its surface, is a very good, solid mini episode, but it doesn't take the story into new places, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's a good episode, but has the needle been pushed plot-wise, story-wise? Where it's a good episode, and the characters are great, and I really enjoyed Cobb in this episode, and cool to see his backstory, and obviously the reveal of Boba Fett at the end. That didn't really get me, super surprised, because I just figured that, there's been rumor reports, and I just figured, they give, the boots at the end, and then, I think all the pieces led to, especially when they saw the Mandalorian armor with Cobb, because then you're like, that's Boba Fett has something to do with it at that point. So between the ending of the last time they were in Tatooine at the end of episode 5, plus the rumor reports of the actor of Boba Fett coming back, plus seeing Boba Fett's armor back on Tatooine. And so when it happened, you would think figuring out Boba Fett's back is a huge thing. To me, it's not, because to me, I figured that. And to be honest, Boba Fett is probably the most overrated Star Wars character, and one of the most overrated characters, because he's cool and all, but I feel like everybody regards him in such high regards, but he's a cool Mandalorian, but the novelty of Mandalorians have worn off. I'm sure in the 80s, cool armor, cool jetpacks, cool weapons, cool look. But now we see Mandalorians all the time, so we've seen cooler Mandalorians. We've seen cooler Mandalorian armors. So I don't know, but I'm interested to see where they go with it. I'm interesting. Now, my assumption, this takes place, I think, probably 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So what I'm assuming will happen, I don't know the timeline, but I'm sure a couple years, or not couple months. Honestly, I think what happened was, but how did Boba Fett survive, though? I think it is, he was able to get out, right? But I think he would have took off his armor, because he would have sweat way too much. Way too much. He would have, sweat so much. So I'm sorry. He probably took it off, found, somewhere to stay. Because, like, I'm trying to think, I'm like, you can't just live in a sarlacc pit. You can't just live in someone's mouth. So it had to have been relatively in that day, in that time frame. So, I mean, or maybe, because he's not eaten or anything. Boba wasn't eaten. So he had to have gotten out at some point. So I'm guessing he took off the clothes, found somewhere to live as kind of like a villager, Obi-Wan-esque villager or something. And I'm sure he just kind of wanted to shed that mantle, because I can't imagine if this does take place 5 years later. If he really wanted that armor, he would have gotten that armor. If he would have looked for it. So I think it didn't mean as much to him as. Nope. So, that's kind of my thoughts on that. But it was a good episode. But it was good, but it wasn't. It's not like I think it could have been better. It's just that. Per the course. But yeah, there was some big reveals. And I'm excited to see where the season goes more. But I don't. It's weird, because I really like Ahsoka the character. But I am bummed out, I guess, a little bit that she's in it. And I'm bummed out that. I'm not as bummed out about Bo-Katan, because it makes sense that Bo-Katan would be in it, and if Sabine makes sense. The only way I see Ahsoka fitting is if Ahsoka's with Bo-Katan. Because other than that, I just think shortening Ahsoka. I don't know. But I also hope we don't see Ahsoka's death. Like in the sense that. Don't just think this is a great time to kill off Ahsoka. This is not Ahsoka's story. That's not, you know what I mean? I would not like. I'm not even fond enough that she'd be in the series, let alone killing her off. But that's my fear. Like, oh, let's take this opportunity to kill off Ahsoka. No, I don't want Ahsoka dead. Please no, please no. And not that I don't want Ahsoka dead, but it would just seem unrelated. You know what I mean? It's okay if you do it in Rebels. It's okay if you do it in Clone Wars, because in some way she's key parts of those stories. But here, she's just a supporting character. Don't make this the Ahsoka story. Don't just make it because I don't know, whatever. But I like this episode. I think it was cool. It was fun. It was exciting. It was nostalgia, but it wasn't like the nostalgia and not fan service. It's not really fan service. The nostalgia served the story, so that was good. So I enjoyed it. It was a good starting episode and a good starting point for it to go. And by the way, the opening sequence at the wrestling arena, particularly the fight, was so well choreographed. I really enjoyed it. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos. Come right out.